G'day Bomber fans, we take a break from all the chaotic trade news to bring you a little AFLW update because the team has been performing really well. We are right in the mix for finals leading into the last month of regular season footy, so let's get into the rounds 4 to 7 review. We start the little period with our victory over Fremantle, which was up until this point the most pleasing of the year. We hosted them at Windy Hill and it was clearly a home favourite crowd. They watched us get over the line by 20 points in the end. Looking at that scoreline though, it doesn't tell the whole story. It's weird that you had close games against Hawthorn and St Kilda, but we managed to beat this lot who were really challenging us for finals fairly comfortably in the end as well. We trailed at half-time, we only really escaped them halfway through the last quarter. It was a really even game for the most part around the ground. Both sides had periods of dominance and both sides managed to wrestle momentum to make the game an interesting one. In the end, it was our defence that I think stood taller than theirs to ensure the victory. 5 goals to 2 after half-time, even though territory was evenly shared. It shows how far we have come on last year. We look at a lot less leaky than we did last season. Freo are a decent side right in the mix of finals as well, so to beat them with some handy percentage thrown our way, it helps a lot. We seemed a lot more composed with ball in hand, which is good, especially out of defence. I felt like we were calm enough to exit with authority, and it helps that we seemed the more capable team in one-on-ones around the field. They won clearances, which often doesn't happen against us, but we won more impactful contests when it mattered most, I would say. It helped us launch towards a victory, especially when you have marking targets inside 50 playing out of their skin, which we will get to now with the votes. I'll give one vote to Alexandra Morecambe, who had such a great attack on the ball. She is one of those players who managed to win or at worst halve every one-on-one she was involved in. 2 to young Steph Wales, I think she was given a Rising Star nomination for this game. She is really proving herself valuable as a ruck. 3 to Brooke Walker, moved up the field a bit to good effect. She's clearly one of our most mature players. 4 to Sophie Alexander, I feel like our attacking comes through her a lot of the time. She is great moving forward, and Bonnie Toogood, she was the difference. She is in All-Australian lock right now. She is having an insane year. Our next game went under the radar a bit. It was before the AFL Grand Final. I think most of us were tuning into the pre-game coverage, but I did manage to watch this one. The Pies beat the Lions to snag a 16th flag in the AFL, and in the AFLW, the Pies beat the Bombers. So it was a really bad day for us all round. It was a really frustrating game of footy here. The Crows match was a reality check, but I almost was more disappointed by this result because it's a game we really should have fought harder in, and honestly probably should have won. I think we are the better team on paper, so to go down this easily hurt. We never looked in the contest. I think we scored the first goal of the game and then only managed 2 after that. The Pies were always the more threatening, more dangerous, more up for the fight team, whatever you want to say, it describes them. They were by far and away the better side, and honestly probably should have won by more if I'm being real. A 20-point margin doesn't show how one-sided the game was. It's funny because 20 points against Freo, it's too big a margin, but here I think it's too small a margin. We were soundly beaten. We had so much more of the ball, but only managed 23 inside 50s, only 2 more than we got against the Crows, who are the best team in the league. Our efficiency going forward was dreadful. We never looked capable of stringing a play together to find us deep in forward 50, and that's the thing. We had more marks inside 50, but all of them were so shallow and in horrible spots. It's why stats on face value don't mean much. We really didn't have any purpose behind our entries a lot of the time, and Collingwood did. All in all, it was a flattening performance. We could have jumped near the top 4 with this game. Instead, we were momentarily forced out of the 8, but I think it's an important game to lose. It shows you can never turn up half-assed. I think we are a better team than Collingwood, so to lose a game like this in such a short season was not ideal. Here are the votes though. 1 to Georgia Nanscorn, who continues to have a great impact in her first year playing AFLW footy. Steph Kane, the co-captain, had one of her best games I've seen. I thought she was terrific from an otherwise poor bunch. Maddie Press-Barkis continues her stellar year, as does Brooke Brown. I think she's quickly becoming one of our most important players, Brooke Brown, but someone we can't live without is Bonnie Toogood. She was superb, kicked all of our goals as a team, tried so hard all day. She gets the 5. The second to last match of our little run was a big win over Geelong. This was a game we were not favoured to win in. We were the underdogs. The Cats had everything their way. We picked up some injuries and it looked dire early. They kicked the opening 2 goals of the match. They had a scoreless at quarter time, but after that we flicked the switch and turned it on. We were awesome. Our team defence pressure won us a really important game to have us favoured to finish in the 8 now. The fact that they scored the only 2 goals of the first quarter but couldn't manage another major after that, especially because we had another low inside 50 count, that was really impressive. They had more of the ball in their zone, but our mids worked so hard to track back and help the defenders escape. The team defence was a highlight, the best it's been all year, I'd say. It wasn't like that Saints game where our key backs stood tall. This was a whole team effort. The Cats up until this stage were the best team we have played, bar Adelaide, who are just on another level, but for us to overwhelm them with tackling pressure and ferocity around the contest, it shows how we can beat or match it with teams we aren't expected to beat or contend with. I really think we had them scared, and you can't say it was a home ground advantage. We had the home kit, but we were pretty much playing at a neutral country venue. We were simply put the better side, and that is really pleasing after the Collingwood loss. It put a fire in the belly, you can tell. That has to be the standard every week now. Onto the votes. Daria Bannister's attack on the ball was refreshing. Her tackling pressure was nuts. Georgia Nanscorn really stepped it up in that third quarter. She helped us bring the game back in our hands. Bonnie Toogood stepped up late as well, especially in defence to help us kill the game. Amber Clark, coming of age performance really on that wing. Her run was fantastic. And Maddie Prespakis, what more can you really say about her? She was best on ground in her 50th elite performance. And finally, our last win against Richmond. This was a big one, really comprehensive win. The odds were as good as split. It was a 50-50 going into the game, but we showed them up. We were a class above. We were the much better team on the night, and bar a little Richmond surge in the third, we were well ahead for the most part. We made it look easy defending their entries. We made it look easy going forward. We looked like a top 4 team on the night. It was a really impressive victory, matched by the fact Richmond were poor. They lowered their colours a little bit, I will say. I think they had we had a combined effort of us at our best, and Richmond looking a little bit worse than they may have against other teams. I thought it was really impressive to see us not get carried by our stars as well. I don't even think Bonnie T and Maddie P were our best players, which is rare. They were still good and may feature in the votes, but to see us get the win through other means is uplifting, because it shows if one of them was to have a down day, we may still be able to turn out an impressive performance. Alrighty, votes. Different looking votes for me this game. Prespakis 1 vote. I thought her and Toogood were great, but I was really impressed by other players. 2 to Nanscorn in the guts again. 3 to Amelia Radford. I was impressed by her performance. Sophie van der Heuvel has been unlucky not to be in the votes on like 3 or 4 different occasions, but she gets 4. And Steph Wales, she made some mistakes, but I thought she was brilliant. Dominated headouts, had heaps of the ball, a goal. I thought she was massive. 5 votes. Votes tally. Bonnie Toogood leads the way on 23, ahead of Prespakis on 20. After that, no one is really close. Brooke Brown is down on 11, less than half the amount of Bonnie. Nanscorn is 4th on 10. After that is a bit of a logjam, everyone within maximum votes of each other. Steph Wales on 8, Brooke Walker and Sophie van der Heuvel on 6. Georgia G, Alexander and Amber Clark round out a strong top 10. Looking at the ladder, it looks great. We are equal 4th, 5th on percentage. We're strong spot leading into finals. We have 3 games left to play. You would think the minimum amount of wins required to finish in the 8 would be 6, but 7 would get the job done. So we would need 2 more wins, especially because we have poor percentage. I want a home final as well. Luckily, our next game is at West Coast, or at home to West Coast, who are the worst team in the comp, or down there, so we should smash them. After that, we have Carlton and Gold Coast away. Both teams in the finals mix, so a lot to play out. Keen for it. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, and go Bombers.